If you have been a bow hunter for any length of time, you will understand when I talk about the emotional roller coaster of hunting. A slow, discouraging hunt can turn into pure adrenaline and excitement in just a few seconds. An emotional high after shooting a deer can turn to discouragement, frustration, and confusion when the blood trail isn't as good as we had hoped. Recently, I took a ride on this roller coaster with all of its twists and turns and all of its ups and downs. Hey there everyone, welcome back to The Budget Sportsman. I hope you can hear me. It's really windy tonight, but it's Saturday evening, November the 3rd. We have about a week left of Pennsylvania archery season here. And if you watched my last video, you know that the action has started to heat up, started to see some bucks running around. And I'm back in the ladder stand where I've just seen a lot of action this week. I don't want to overhunt it, but I think that we're still okay, still seeing good action here. Unfortunately, the way I'm set up, I feel like I'm missing some of the activity, but hopefully we'll get lucky and get a buck to come in here. I brought the grunt call tonight, so if I see a buck down in the field again tonight, I'm going to try to grunt him in. Stick with me, let's see what happens, see if we can get a buck on the ground. The evening started with high hopes built on a good number of buck sightings throughout the week. My high hopes gradually turned to impatience as the deer didn't seem to be moving as early as I had hoped. Then in an instant, my excitement built again when I saw two deer running out of the cornfield back into the woods. Even though they were a good 150 yards away, I knew deer were starting to move. A few minutes later, a doe came running by me, and I quickly turned the camera on and got ready, feeling confident a buck was on her trail. Sure enough, just a few moments later, I caught movement in the brush just 40 yards away. Within just a minute or two, he was moving through my shooting lane at 20 yards. Burr. Yes. I'm shaking so bad. I just shot a buck. I'm shaking so bad. My hands. Oh man. My hands are just like shaking so bad right now. Yes. Everything is shaking. I can't even feel my hands right now. About 10 minutes ago, I saw a doe go tearing out of the field and back into the woods down here about 150 yards. So I just kept a really watchful eye out, and all of a sudden she came tearing up through the woods and came right underneath me. So I turned all the cameras on, grabbed my bow, and sure enough, this buck comes right up looking for her, turns, comes right into my shooting lane. The only thing I'm worried about is his leg was back. So I hope I didn't hit back too far. Let me review the footage and see what happens. Burr. In the moments following the shot, I felt a rush that most people wouldn't understand. After hours, days, and even weeks of hunting, I had finally connected with a buck. My hands began to go numb, and I struggled to control my breathing as the excitement and adrenaline rushed through my body. However, once I reviewed the footage, that excitement began to fade as I realized I had hit much lower than I intended. I decided to go check my arrow, and what I saw dropped me straight down that roller coaster hill. Barely a drop of blood, just an arrow covered in fat. Well guys, this is the ups and downs. I mean, one minute you're pumped because you shot a buck. Reviewed the footage, checked the arrow, and it looks like I probably just grazed the buck. I definitely felt like I hit low. Looks like all I got is fat, really no blood. So, good news is I think the buck will be okay. Bad news is I'm really discouraged about the bad shot I made. I want to make good ethical kills on animals, don't be making bad shots, wounding animals. And to be honest, it's a case of buck fever. Got excited at the buck. Wasn't a monster, but it was legal. Perfect in my shooting lane, and I just blew it. My dad's coming over. We'll check out the arrow a little bit, look for any more blood, but the way it looks, it just doesn't look good. From that point on, there was a range of emotions. Frustration, mostly with myself for rushing the shot and letting the buck fever get the best of me. Sadness for wounding a deer. Discouragement. I even asked myself if I should quit bow hunting. When my dad came, we found a small amount of blood, but decided to back out for around 3 hours. After giving it some time, we headed back to pick up the trail. My confidence was at rock bottom. And I didn't bother to take my knife, my field dressing equipment, or even my camera. As we walked in, we decided to take a different access trail to get back to my tree stand. We knew the buck had to cross that trail, and we were hoping that maybe we could pick up his trail there. Sure enough, halfway up the hill, we crossed a solid blood trail, and within just a few minutes, I was standing over my buck. Well everyone, after reviewing the footage and checking the arrow, I was pretty discouraged. Didn't think I was going to get this deer, but found a little bit of blood on the blood trail, and we backed out for about 3 hours. And we came back in, we actually came in an axis where this deer crossed, and we picked up a really heavy blood trail. Within just a few minutes, Dad was helping me, and we found this buck. This is my second ever archery buck, and I couldn't be more happy. But I gotta stop talking because it's late at night, and we got a lot of work to do, and we got church in the morning. So I'm gonna get to it. As I filled out my tag, I couldn't help but feel another range of emotions. Relieved that this deer wasn't wounded and suffering. He actually only made it about 100 yards. Thankful to God for the opportunity to hunt and provide for my family. And excitement to ride this crazy roller coaster all over again next season. Hey everyone, thank you so much for taking time to watch this video. I really hope you enjoyed it. Before I close out this video, I wanted to take a minute to answer the question I'm sure many of you have, and that is, where exactly did I hit this buck? As I'm sure you saw from the slow motion, I hit very low, and as a matter of fact, that's why I thought I just didn't even get the buck. As it turned out, I just barely snuck into the vital cavity, and believe it or not, hit one lung very well and just barely sliced the bottom of the second lung behind the heart. Didn't get the heart, but definitely got the back of the lungs there. As I mentioned in the video, it only went really maybe 100 or at the most 125 yards from where I shot the deer, and so really it ended up being a fairly good quick kill. Now I do want to say that if you've been following along my channel, both this deer and the doe that I shot a week or so ago, I hit lower than intended with both shots, or the arrow went lower than intended with both shots. And so that's certainly something that I need to look into and figure out if it's something I'm doing wrong or if I'm just rushing the shot. Left and right has been pretty much what I wanted on both shots. I do not believe it's the bow. Just about a week ago from the time making this video, I was outside to the range and I was shooting 40 yards with broadheads and putting them in about a 3-inch group. And I'm certainly not taking 40-yard shots at deer. So it's not the bow. There's certainly something going on. It may just be buck fever, but there's certainly something that I'm going to go and try to investigate. Maybe take a target out to my tree stand, shooting from the elevated position, and try to figure that all out. If you're new here, I hope you'll stick around. I try to push new videos every Saturday at noon, mostly hunting, some fishing in the summertime. Sometimes I throw in camping reviews and everything outdoor related. Always keeping in mind that I'm on a budget. Until next time, I hope you remember to get off YouTube and get outdoors into God's great creation.